Welcome, Gustavo. Welcome to Olga.
Thank you, brother.
Welcome to Sobi Bar. We're sat here today in this very magical kind of place, I would say. And this is your first time here at Sobi Bar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe you've been on the island for how many days now?
Wow, almost like 15. Almost,
Yeah, like more than 2 weeks
15
now.
days,
Yeah. But yeah, we have had some really incredible events here. Okay, so Gustavo, we should introduce you to the people.
Hello, everybody.
So
Everybody from Oaga.
yes, Gustavo is. How would you actually categorize yourself as a performer? Like,
I started as a flow artist.
Yeah.
But then I moved to more like circus disciplines
Mhm.
after like 4 years of
Yeah.
practicing. So I would say I'm a mix in between flow arts and circus. So like kind of like a modern circus performer.
yeah, so kind of almost like if you were a musician, maybe you would be like a fusion artist, right? Like you
Yes,
take elements
fusion.
of these two
Exactly.
kinds of disciplines and
Yeah.
you put them together. And I've seen your show, and if you ever get to see Gustavo, like man, just seriously go and see him. He's great.
Yeah.
One thing that was very interesting for me and really sold me on the fact that we need you on this podcast is the fact that you are a traveler as well.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to say a little bit about, because I know you've been traveling for a long time now.
Yeah.
How has that experience been?
Well, it's been amazing being able to travel all over the world, you know, like I was before here in Saudi Arabia, and before that I was in Thailand, before that Turkey, Europe.
Yeah.
I started traveling when I was 19 years old.
19.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But before that, also when I was like doing school in Brazil, I changed 7 times of school.
Ah, okay.
I was already like I have already like this call of like moving to places, getting to make new friends
Yeah.
everywhere I go, and
Yeah.
see different cultures, different communities, you know.
Yeah.
So when I finished like my school, I started doing high school, like a university,
Yeah.
and I stopped after like 6 months because then like the call of like become circus artist, a flow artist
Yeah.
as a professional, you know, not just like as a hobby.
Yeah.
It was like calling me all the time. So then I said, okay, now it's time to like put this as a main thing in my life.
Yeah.
And then I started traveling all over Brazil for festivals where
Yeah.
I met like my company from Brazil.
Ah, okay. Okay.
I met them on a music festival, and
Nice.
then they invited me to go to other festivals around Brazil. And then I saw this invitation, I saw this application for this festival in Portugal.
Yeah.
I filled it up, the form, and then they accepted. So I was like, oh my
Wow.
God, now I have to go all the way to Portugal, to Europe, to the other side of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I went there. I was supposed to stay 1 month, but then I had to extend a little bit longer for another month because I got other invitations to perform like in Germany. And then like I saw like this casting for this circus school in Italy,
For what?
a circus school.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So it was like a course that you
Yeah.
have like for 2 years,
Okay.
and you have to stay there for the whole time
Wow.
for learning about like all the disciplines that we have on circus, which means like theater, dance,
Yeah.
physics, preparation,
Yeah.
acrobatics, all
Yeah.
balance and everything. So I went to Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and when I went to Italy, I arrived there without knowing anyone for real. And when I was like in the train going from Switzerland to Italy, I found this guy on the same train as me, and he was carrying like a unicycle, you know, like this like a unicycle, you know.
Yeah. Just that one.
Yeah, one wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe this guy is like I could talk with him, and he might be from the circus. So I talked with him, and then I said, hey, do you know like some place where I could stay like this during this time, because I don't know anyone and I'm just doing this audition for this next 3 days. I was like, oh, I'm not from here, But I have a friend, a Brazilian friend, who lives here, and he's also like from the circus community.
Yeah.
He might be able to host you. And then he called it, the guy. He said, hey, look, I'm with this guy. I met him like 5 minutes ago. He needs a place to stay. And this guy, like Rafa, he answered this guy on the phone, Darwin, like saying, hey, look, I will be gone for about like 4 days. I'm still like in Torino, but if he wants, we can meet on the train station in Torino. I can give the keys of my house.
Crazy.
Yeah. And he can stay at my house. I was like, okay. So then we met on the train station. He gave me his keys from his house for a person that he really don't know.
Wow.
He's just like, hey, bro, here's the key. The Sporta Vianizza number 10. And then I went there. And then I did the audition. I saw the audition, like, was everyone like a really like circus artist, you know, like doing all the handstands, splits. And I was like the only like different guy wearing like several pants like that.
Yeah.
Doing all these like exercises that I never tried before. So all the teachers said like we had a lot of exams, no, during that time. But all the exams I got kind of like rejected.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to do handstand. I didn't know how to do splits. Like I was doing splits, and then the teacher was like taking my pants and doing like that. I was like, oh, okay, so you are like 20 centimeters away from the ground, you know? No. But the last exam was like to show your 2 minutes act.
Okay.
You could do whatever you want on stage, and then I prepare like one act that fuses poi and boogieing.
Okay, nice.
Because this was like my main thing during that time, which is almost still the same also.
Yeah, like I've seen you do the same here as well. Yeah.
Not still the same since that time, but I
course.
was like already doing this. This was like the thing that I started, no? And the director and all the teachers got like really amazed about my skills, about my originality on my disciplines. And then they said, okay, like this guy is young. This guy has a lot of potential through his arts. Let's take him. So like they took me for the course. It was like a small group of people. Like they get like, I don't know, like 20 slots for the course, but it was like, I don't know, maybe like 50 persons trying to get in.
Yeah.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
So then I called my mom. Mom, I have to stay here for 2 years longer.
Yeah.
And then I stayed for 2 years, and then I started traveling more outside, not just like in Brazil, but also like in Europe, everywhere, because also like there is much easier to you move around because the countries are very close to each other. It's not like Brazil and Argentina. Like if you wanna go from Brazil to Argentina, you needed to take, I don't know, or a flight. Yeah. Or if you take a bus, it would take like, I don't know, 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
So from that moment, like 2005 to 2012, I started like doing more worldwide things.
Wow. Okay. So you've like really traveled now, and I think one of the things that when I was preparing for this conversation, I thought might be interesting to ask you is to ask a little bit about your travel, and then to ask you about your idea of home, right? Because and we're lucky actually that we've been trying to record this podcast for like a few days now, and things have just been so busy, and we've had some scheduling errors, but the silver lining of that thing is that like we actually got to spend a lot of time together, right? Like we've had meals together, we've watched other people perform together. I saw you performing, and we also did tie-dye together, which is really fun. And so and you mentioned to me, right, and this is something that really stuck in my brain when you said, Nuff, I can like I've learned to kind of feel at home wherever I go, right? And which I think is one of these ideas about home that not many people would have, right? Most people have the exact opposite, right? Like it's like, oh, okay,
Yes.
I have a place that either I grew up in or at some point in their lives that they lived in, and then that is like now the home for
Yeah.
them, right? So
Yeah.
like, how do you feel when you think about home? Like, what
Yeah.
are some of the things that you associate with that?
Well, I think like since I started like traveling, I get like this concept of being more like open to everything that comes to me.
Yeah.
And I was like traveling a lot and through a very short time. So I was going for 2 days in Germany, another 3 days in Portugal, another. And when I started to like become a little bit older and doing more and more frequent this,
Yeah.
I was feeling also like this necessity of having a place to feel at home. So I started to like adapt also like this concept of like traveling a lot, but also like spending a little bit longer on the places where I go.
Yeah.
So I can like feel it like and be more together with the local community.
Yeah.
So this is like really good for me. For example, staying here in Oaga, which is I'm not like just coming for the 31st showcase
Yeah.
and then coming back to whatever another show.
Yeah.
Like I've been like living this
Yeah.
life with you guys, which
Yeah.
has been amazing. I'm feeling like home, you know, like I'm making friendship with you guys. We
Yeah.
are always eating together. We
Yeah.
are talking about everything, even
Yeah.
like the gossips, you
Yeah.
know, like it's nice, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
like when you're traveling, you need that support.
Yeah.
Because we are sometimes like far away from our hometown, from our friends,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
But like I can definitely say that here I feel like home, you know. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning, like sometimes it can be a little bit, oh my god, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
new
this
way,
is
yeah.
a new island, this is a new place. But for example, here I feel that like the persons who works here, you guys, all the artists and everyone, like really makes me feel like home.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I think that's like that's the thing about traveling. I have traveled to resorts, which would just be like in the Maldives here, right? To perform my music. Every time I come here, I feel a kind of a refuge almost, right? Like because it's like you're traveling around at all these different resorts, and you've been traveling around the whole world. There have been times when I've gone and performed for different events,
Yeah.
and sometimes I just feel like, you know, oh, you're just there to do a job, and I do the job well, and I put my heart and soul into my
Yeah.
performance, but you don't get that extra feeling of like, oh, I'm amongst a group of people who also understand this, right? I just wanted to express that that's something I felt, and ask how you have felt about this place, having traveled all around the world, doing performing your act, and meeting so many different kinds of people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I travel to other places, for example, I was in Thailand for a month now, and I was also like working in different resorts, different places.
Yeah.
But as I've been like traveling for many years, like I already have this kind of basis everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So it always feels at home. For example, when I go back to Thailand, for example,
Yeah.
because I know the places where I go to eat. I have my friends there.
Yeah.
Even the places like the resorts. Even if I know that the people that are going there, they are just staying for like a short time, not like us that are staying like for a long time. It's really good to reconnect
Yeah.
with them, you
Yeah.
know. Even if you're like going to like different resorts around Maldives, for example,
Yeah.
you might have like this person, like the manager, that you see him for like I don't know a short period, and then you leave, and then you come back.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to like reconnect with these
Yeah.
persons, you
Yeah.
know.
And I think something I've noticed definitely, and I think a lot of people here would agree as well, is that you are a person who just shares all of your knowledge, right? Like I can't count the number of times that I've called Amni or Aliko and said like, hey, like, what are you doing right now? And then they've always said like, oh, like we're going to practice with Gustavo. You know, he was showing me
Yeah.
this, and now I want to learn this, right? We want to invite people who will come here and plant those seeds, right? And then and by seeds I mean like you come and you inspire all of us. or you inspire one or two people, right? And then you will leave at some point, and then we have the seed. So
Yeah.
now we can grow that tree,
Yeah.
right? And
Which is not also like, it's not just I get as sharing with you guys,
Yeah.
also you guys sharing with me.
yeah, of course, and that's kind of that's the beauty of it,
The
right?
exchange,
Yeah, it's that value exchange,
Yeah.
and the value exchange with you is very high here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is specifically about flow arts, right?
Okay.
So now you've told us a little bit about the background behind how you got into it, right? So now I want to ask you a little bit about what are some of the things you feel when you are practicing or even when you're performing. What is the thing that really draws you to it?
Well, I think since I started like doing flow arts, I felt really creative in all the aspects. So when you say about like songwriting, it's almost the same concept as me, like as creating a new routine,
Right.
creating a new act,
It's composing, right?
composing.
Yeah.
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 So this is what really like pulls me up to like okay, let me do something new. Like I spent like until the 31st of December, like creating this new routine of hula hoop. I've been doing this since like November, but when I arrived here, I was like, okay, I have this show on the 31st, which is like an LED show. I want to put this inside of my show. I never done it before,
Yeah.
and let me work on that. So I spent like all my mornings like in the computer there programming,
yeah.
and then going on the sunset with Aliko and
Yeah.
Amni like to practice. And they're like, okay, let me see if the lights are working,
Yeah.
if my choreography is working as well, because it takes time,
Yeah.
no, to like for you to get to feel like comfortable with the tricks and everything. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Definitely.
It's not like, okay, let me do like all those tricks. Yeah, okay, you can do it. But if you practice this on one day, on the next day you have like this brain memory, this muscle memory
Yeah. Yeah.
that feels more comfortable
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
So this was like what it really inspires me to also that it motivates me like to go forward, because I know that if I come here to perform, for example, next year, for example, I really want to bring something new.
Yeah. Of
You
course.
know?
Of course.
Because this is like my motivation. It's like, hey guys, look what I learned on the next years,
Yeah.
on the past year,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is like really good. It's really good.
And I think that's another thing as well, right? I love performing and playing for people and places that appreciate that effort. Right? I'm sorry that I pointed the finger at you. But people who really appreciate that effort. I think we talked about this the other day, maybe yesterday, or the day before, about how like I told you that flow arts, now that contact juggling ball, that has now become my like secondary creative release thing, right? On days when it's like too hard to write the song or too hard to kind of go into that, and my brain feels overwhelmed. The thing that now this is becoming the discipline that I can kind of just let my brain just release
all
and
the
just
tension,
melt. Yeah,
which is amazing.
yeah,
really good.
it's really like it feels surreal. It feels magical almost, right? And so I wanted to ask you, because I see you walking around with a ukulele, right? So I wanted to ask you like, what is that secondary creative release for you? Like what medium might that be?
So basically, when I started flow arts, everything came like super fast. I started to go to like a lot of like juggling conventions, flow arts events. So I started to get also involved on different fields of flow arts.
Yeah.
Which brought me to like dragon stuff,
Yeah.
and also like I went to the circus school. So in the circus school they were teaching me like how to do handstand, how to do the rope thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, this is like so big, so amazing, so many things that I can learn
Yeah.
from everyone.
Yeah.
So I started to like put all of these things that I was learning all together to create my shows.
Yeah.
And then it was like a moment that I felt like, okay, this is like really great, but what else?
Yeah.
What can I do more?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And this like always, I get always motivated, inspired when I travel, because when I travel, I meet different artists that has different disciplines, different tricks, different props,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay. So my bag is always getting bigger and bigger, full of different toys,
Yeah.
different props.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at a certain point, like 3 years ago, like I was hanging out with this friend of mine from Brazil, and she was like amazing guitar player. She's now living in US. And then like we were hanging out one day in her house, and we were like chilling on a hammock. The hammock felt. We both felt on the floor.
Yeah.
We went on a concrete floor.
Oh.
It was horrible. It was like so much painful. So on the next day, I couldn't even like bend myself, like
Really?
my upper body, to catch something on the ground.
Yeah.
So and then she was like working, and then I took her guitar just for fun, you know, like nothing else. I was like, hey, teach me something, and then she teach me like a C chord.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This feels like really good. And it was like really interesting because I remember that on that moment I felt in love with music, with guitar. And then on the next day I went directly to like to the music shop. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, please bring me to a music shop and I want to buy my guitar.
Yeah.
And then since then I like, and then it's
Wow.
become like my second hobby, like as
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
with the contact juggling.
Yeah.
And also like one of the most interesting thing that happened is that I remember back in the years, like I don't know, this was like 2010, 2010, 2011. I was in a friend's house. He also like a juggler, good friend of mine from Brazil. And I remember he also like plays guitar. He came to me, he's like, hey, I want to teach you like a chord in
Yeah.
guitar. And he showed me like it was, I don't know if it was like a C or a G. I tried, it's like, no man, this is boring. This is, I don't like it. It's like, it feels wrong. Like my fingers hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So arts is incredible because it's like that moment.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it can be that today you don't like that thing. But after 10 years, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Something similar that I can say to add to that as well,
Yeah.
right, is with the contact juggling ball. First, I had this like makeshift ball that Aliko had, and it had like red tape and silver tape around it. I think I showed you as well.
Yeah.
And then I was practicing with it, and then I thought I kind of got the move right, yeah, and then the illusion was also kind of coming, and I could see it on the mirror. But then like I tried to do the isolation stuff, and it wasn't working, right?
Okay.
And then I kept watching all these videos. People were like, "Oh, this is like the easiest trick, right? The isolation is the easiest movement, but it only works really if you have the clear ball." And then I was like, "Okay, this is not worth the effort, right?" And then so I actually got a little bored with contact juggling, and then I started like playing with the poi, and then I was more interested in that, right? And then I was just on AliExpress, just looking for
Website.
something, right? And then eventually I found, and it happened to be on Black Friday, and there was a big clearance sale, and there was all these like flow art props for sale, and then I saw the contact juggling ball, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna try this one. And then when I got that ball, and then I started doing these tricks, I actually realized that I had learned a lot more skill than I initially thought I had. It was just the lack of the transparency of the ball.
The layout of the ball that was not like
it wasn't
right.
giving me and
The
so
right
then
effect.
now like I saw that, and then I was like, oh my god, like all of the floaty illusions.
Show me.
Oh man, this okay. I really
Oh, boy.
okay. I don't. Gustavo is putting me on the spot here, but yeah.
Maybe in the front of the
Oh yeah, maybe. This has to be angled properly, right?
Nice, bro.
All right, all of this, and then like this actually becomes a very therapeutic thing for me, right? Because I realize like when I'm doing this right now, all of this is very tense, right?
Yeah.
And when it gets very tense for me, what happens is like it just becomes like obviously it's harder to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever I feel the tension here, that's very physical, I get an immediate like mental reminder to like just calm down,
relax.
you know, and then like my shoulders will drop,
Yeah.
and then I will become more comfortable, and I will be breathing better, you know, and so like all of those elements really help with this. But you should do some of your isolation stuff.
I mean,
with
like
this,
I
you know?
also like started like doing contact juggling. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was in August of 2000, not last year,
Okay.
because it was we're already like in 2025.
Ah, yeah. yeah.
So it was like August 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember that I had like a lot of friends who does like contact juggling in
Yeah.
Brazil or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I was always like, oh my god, this is like so cool that you can learn, you know,
Yeah.
like all those tricks.
Yeah.
But I never had the chance to have one with me.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And then I was like in this festival in Czech Republic, and then I said like, oh man, like my friend came to me, oh, like this is like like one of the hardest tricks that I've been like practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks really cool. Yeah.
And then I remember that I was in the festival, and then the guy said, hey man, I have like some balls here, do you want to buy it? I was like, yeah man, please.
Yeah,
I was asking him since like April,
Really?
but he didn't had, he just had his ones, and
Yeah.
we were like in Guatemala. So then like I bought it from him, like 6 balls.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. And like I feel like the people watching this as well, in this moment, a lot of people will realize how like attractive this is just to look at. Because
Yeah.
it's very calming just to look at as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing for me with contact juggling and the few flow art stuff that I've tried,
Yeah.
and you can tell me how this feels for you. For me, it was just, especially like with poi,
Yeah.
like I learned the 3D weave, right?
Yeah.
And with that, like at one point, it just feels like you're just locked in with the motion, right? And like you can make very subtle moves, like you don't have to do that, right? You can just kind of do that, and then the whole poi goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And like it's very controlled, and like you need to know the right moment to flick the wrist, and so it all becomes very natural and intuitive.
Yeah.
And even the very aggressive like poi moves that are very crazy and all over the place,
Yeah.
they still have a flow to it. You know, it's still
Yeah, it has a
still
flow.
grounded, and it's still
Yeah.
paced, and there is a rhythm.
It's
and
like music also, because
Yeah.
like for example music, okay, you can know the chords, but the music is composed by a mix of like all the chords together.
Yeah.
So like also on flow arts, like when you're doing like if you know this trick right here,
Yeah.
it's great. But if you know like from going from this the first trick to the isolation, then it's another
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then going from the isolation to the warm thing,
Yeah.
then to like cross your hands.
Yeah. It has to kind
So
of.
you needed to like feel this flow, you know, and this flow is just like takes when you practice and when you like. I love to like work with choreographies because then I get to feel more used to the movements,
Yeah.
and I'm always repeating the same and the same and the same as a music.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So it feels like more natural, and then more that you practice that routine, more you feel another transitions from the
okay.
point A to point B.
Right.
So then it's like very inspiring, because then it's like, because that's the thing for me, is like it's not the trick,
Yeah.
it's the transition which is more important.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was yesterday like in the studio like playing the guitar, and then Alexander came, and then he started to show me scales,
Yeah.
and I never saw that before, you know, because
Now
like
you can view it, the fretboard, in a completely different way.
exactly,
Yeah.
because I was learning from like this app called Cifra Club, which is amazing,
Yeah.
that shows like the position of the fingers to do that chord.
Okay.
But it doesn't show me like from going from the chord G to the chord D.
Yeah.
And then he showed me like the scales, and then how you go from the G to the D
Yeah.
without just like stopping and then going down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow.
One of the big things that's hitting the world, that's been like a hit in the world for years, is DJs, right? And everything about a DJ is
Dude,
around
the
transitions. right?
Transition from the music, from one music to the other. This is like the best.
And I think DJs really showcase, very good DJs very often showcase the beauty of transitions, right? They might take the bass line from one song,
Yeah.
put it over
Yeah.
a drum track of another
Yeah.
song, and then put, so
This is the coolest
yeah,
thing.
and
That's how you create a show.
that's how you create a show. You know what? I will quote you on this. transitions is how you create. Okay, we may have gotten a little off topic as we do. But another thing that I did want to ask you was, how does it feel to be surrounded not only by creative people, but also by animals, and also on an island in at the top of an atoll, where like you have access to the ocean all of the time. How does all of that feed into your creative process, right? Like, how does the space that you take to practice affect your mood, or how does it affect the things that inspire you to do different kinds of choreographies or whatever else?
I think it's magical. Like it's definitely magical. Like being here is magical because sometimes you go to like some nature spots, but there's like so many people around that you don't feel comfortable to like express yourself. Like I feel here is kind of like a refugee. You know, for everyone, not just for the artists, but also for like the people that like the tourists that are coming here. They wanna have like just relax, just like stop for a while. Now like we have like all these big cities or big beaches. Everybody's there. Like everybody's like playing music. Like there is one corner here, one guy is playing music. The other on 5 meters away, there is another person like playing like with the other speaker. You know. So it's not like so peaceful, you know. Like here, is a big playground. Where everyone has your own space, you know. So I feel very comfortable here to like open myself. To just like practice. And enjoy, you know. Like today I went to like do some aqua sport with all the guys from O'Hara. Like it was amazing, amazing. Bob like was the one who introduced me. He's like, bro, you should do scuba diving. Like, okay, I never done before. I was like, no, you'll be fine. And I was like, wow, this is like so good. And it brings you like some release, you know, like you feel so connected. Like you see like the shark, like every day I'm like on the sunset and there is like the shark coming like close to us.
And the sharks are like this.
Yeah, small one, the baby sharks. It looks like the people from Waga say like, hey sharks, it's time for you to come to the sunset. It's sunset time, please come. And it becomes like super magical, you know, this environment. This environment is very beautiful because everybody's like, respect your own space. You know?
That's really, it's wonderful to hear because we really try to make it so, right? Doing something creative, right? Like they're expressing themselves in their creative medium. And again, I loved it. And she asked me many times. She was like, "Are you sure you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." You know.
Yeah,
so
because
that's the beauty of trusting
like,
people.
Sometimes people even that like are an artist like in other fields like gastronomy, like working on restaurants, working on a bar, doing fingernails, and stuff like that. They kind of like and even us an artist, sometimes we lose like this freedom. Because we are used to like go to like a resort or whatever place to perform, where the producer is always saying like, no, we want like 10 minutes and of this show, we don't want anything else, you know. So when you go to the finger designer, you know, and you tell her like, just do it whatever you want, she can feel a little bit lost in the beginning because like normally she don't have that freedom. As before, to do it whatever she wants on your fingernails. Also for me, like sometimes, like when I came here, for example, like Rai and all of you guys were like very open-minded to let me do whatever I want on my show. Like they give the trust on me that I can do my show on the way that I want. So if I want to do like start the show here and then move to there, it's okay. We trust on you. And this is like when it becomes like a little bit harder for us also because we needed to think about on everything, all the aspects, but this is when it comes the match.
And as an artist, you're right. When you have the empty canvas and there's nobody saying, oh, you have to draw in this box, right? You use the whole canvas. At that point, like we need to figure out, we have a little bit of work we need to do. but I feel like doing that work is so worth the effort, right? Because when you do that little bit of work, then you get all this freedom, and you know exactly what you want to do with that freedom, right? I think this is a very good note to end this conversation. Gustavo, seriously, genuinely, thank you from the very, very bottom of my heart for being here, for spending time with us. Cheers.
So amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm gonna put this off record.
Thank you, guys.